Dream Team has a really good combination of abilities, but most of the abilities that people remember are in the Dream Worlds. For good reason, but that means that the Dream World abilities overshadow the ones in the real world. And I do think that the real world definitely has some good abilities. So I'm going to be ranking the abilities from the real world from worst to best. And the only abilities I won't be taking into consideration is jumping, because you kind of always have that, and talking to NPCs, because that's really weird to rank. But other than that, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because if you do not like and subscribe, I will make sure that Luigi hits you into the sands of Dozing Sands, and I will personally make sure that you don't get out of Dozing Sands. But other than that, let's get started on the video. The ball hop is a cool concept. It's actually probably the most unique ability in the real world. But honestly, it's not actually good in execution at all. For two reasons. One, it's so slow. Every single time you actually use the ability, you're probably moving a third as fast as you would just be walking. And sadly, the worst thing about this is that it's so situational. When do you actually remember having a memorable time using the ball hop? Think about it. The only time I can actually remember that's memorable is the Somnom Woods minigame, which I know some people don't like because it's difficult. I actually like it because I am smart with those puzzles, but I can definitely see why people wouldn't like it. And that's the thing about it. The ball hop is situational, it's not fun to use. Again, even though it's a good concept and it's the most unique ability in Dream Team's real world, it's just not fun. It can be a good concept, but it has to actually be executed well. And the ball hop is not executed well at all. It's a hammer. It's just a hammer. That's all this thing is. Okay. The hammer is not as bad here as I do think it is in Partners in Time, but it's just a hammer. What does this lead to? All you really do with the hammer is break rocks and press switches. That's it. That's the problem with it. And I probably would say the exact same thing with the jump, but at least with the hammer you learn it. You don't actually have the hammer right at the beginning of the game, so I probably want to include it on this list. But it's just a stinking hammer. That's all this thing is. And it's not utilized well, especially when you go to Dozing Sands and then you get more interesting abilities with the hammer. Stuff like Mole Mario and Mini Mario, which are not unique to this game, but are definitely more unique than the hammer. That's the thing about it. It's not annoying to use, there's just nothing to it. Number 5 and number 4 were basically competing for which one got higher, but I think the worst out of the two was Mini Mario. And the thing about Mini Mario is that he's not bad, he's okay, but I do think that he is definitely underused, and I think that's probably what put this ability at number 5. This ability is so underused, I can probably not think of too many reasons to actually use this thing. Now, yes, it's sometimes used in places like Dozing Sands and Mashir Park, but other than that, there's no reason to actually use this thing, even though I do like when you make Mario Mini, he moves at normal speed. And we'll talk about why that's important in the next entry. I hope you like the same footage and the same music, because I'm too lazy to change it. The thing about Mole Mario is that the biggest problem with this ability is that when Mario is in the ground, you move so slowly. And yes, it makes sense, it's harder to move through the ground than obviously outside. But here's the thing about it. It's not fun when he's in the ground. The thing that's the good thing about this though is that you're not in the ground for long. Most of the time you're just using this thing to get beans. And that's, again, probably the reason why this ability is above number 5. The reason why is because this ability is used forever to collect beans. Not really to actually use the ability's purpose to actually just go under stuff, but to get beans, it's essential. So that's the thing about it. That's probably what pushed it over number 5, but again, it's not really that fun to actually use this thing. It's actually really boring, and it is obviously stolen from Superstar Saga, so it's not that great, and it's obviously not unique. The spin jump has always been such a classic ability that the bros have always had. And obviously, in Dream Team, it's good. I do think it's the worst in one way, but the best in another way. The reason why I think it's the worst spin jump in all Mario RPGs is because it's probably the slowest. But the reason why I think it's the best out of every single one is that you travel the furthest. So I do think that it traveling the furthest definitely gives this a good utility, and especially because you get to go into places that you aren't actually expected to go yet, so that's pretty nice. And yeah, that's pretty good about it, but in reality, it's not that fun to use. I really wish that this thing was faster, but you got to travel the same amount of length that you did. So I feel like if that happened, it'd probably be number 1. But obviously the thing that's also holding it back is that this has been in every single Mario and Luigi game up to this point. So it's not a very unique ability, so for that reason I don't think it actually deserves to be number 1. While the number 1 choice... The side drill is not very unique if you really think about it, but it's just so fun to use. The thing about the side drill is you don't travel very far with it, but it makes a cool sound, and you look really cool. Especially when you're drilling into rock, it sounds really cool. Also, it's really fast and fun to just use randomly. It's not as fast as using something like the Bros Ball from Partners in Time, but you can use the side drill anywhere. And that's the thing about it. You could use the side drill anywhere, and it's fun too. But at the end of the day, if this side drill was probably faster than moving normally, I think that I would love this ability. But I think something else that I don't like about it is that you have to use it in only 4 directions. It has to be up, down, left, or right. It can't be diagonal, it can't be a little bit left, no. It has to be exactly in the 4 directions, which is definitely a bit annoying. But I love this ability. It's just so fun to use, and it's so satisfying just to break that rock. Thank you guys for watching this video. My next video, well, you kind of already know what it is. I'm going to be talking about the Dream Team abilities from the Dream World. But yeah, stay tuned for that. That will come out in 3 days. But other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe, or you'll know what will happen.